right, thank you for joining us. We'll begin our topic for this morning, Nigeria Decides 2019. Just like we told you, just few hours to the election proper. Nigerians will go out to the polls to vote who becomes the president and who will represent them, the people that will represent them at the National Assembly, 109 senators and 360 members of the House of Representatives.
So many to talk about. But then, now that we have started to look at how Nigeria will decide tomorrow, we'll have gentlemen that have joined us to do that. The first person is Dr. Dennis Ekemezie, is Director of Planning, National Orientation Agency, Anambra State. You're welcome, Doc.
Good morning. Thank you.
Okay, and I also have Barrister Joseph Anganti. He's a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst. Welcome, Barrister.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
Yes, we started looking at how Nigerian election, 2019 election, will go. This, when is it coming up, Seth?
Few hours.
Few hours to come. Okay, and everybody is asking, what do we expect tomorrow, being Saturday, the 16th day of February 2019? We started with the primaries that we have seen, and then choosing of the presidential candidate, vice presidential candidates, the campaigns, a whole lot of things, and then the signing of the peace accord that happened twice, showing there's a need for us to have peace during and after the 2019 election. And now the almighty February 2016 is here, and we want to look at what we should expect tomorrow. But before then, let's quickly look back at how we have prepared for this 2019. For this election that is coming up tomorrow. How well have we prepared? Let me start with you, Dr. Kemis.
Well, thank you. Let me correct the impression. I'm head of Department of Public Affairs and Protocol and National Orientation Agency, Anambra State Directorate. And from all angles, I think Nigerians are itching for this very, very serious national election, election that will bring through a new president or a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, members of the National Assembly, Senate, and House of Representatives. And with urge and eagerness, you can see that Nigerians are warming up for this very, very important election. And also the international community, the UN, the EU, the US, and every other people are so much interested in this election coming up because Nigeria, not as a giant of Africa, but the father of African countries, both politically, economically, and every other way, that the Nigerian market alone in Africa and the world is very important to the international community. And then down home, you can see that on our own side, mobilization process has been on for the past 6 months, and we're on the top gear. I'm happy that David was there with us at a Cape Club there, where we are mobilizing the commuters, the transporters, and every other. And you saw
who are the National Orientation
Agency. So you saw the quality and the commitment and the eagerness of those people that were around, giving the commitment that they are coming out to vote to elect their leaders of various categories. And then also you see the security agency, and I'm happy with the deployment of various security apparatus.
Okay, we're coming to that. But before then, let's Barrister, let's hear from you. How ready are Nigerians for tomorrow's election?
Actually, Nigerians are very much ready to go out tomorrow and elect their leaders. And I must have to point out that some Nigerians are ready, but in one word or other, they will not partake in tomorrow's election. Starting from their inability to get their PVC from the INEC, and it's very, very worrisome because I don't actually understand why INEC will have to wait till election period for them to start issuing out PVC. Ordinarily, it ought to be a day-to-day activities. They should be able to allow people to have their PVC to partake in elections. Then again, when you look at some issues like court cases, it will actually tell much as far as tomorrow's election is concerned. Some states are not going to field in candidates like River State and Zamfara.
Some parties in some states.
Yes, IPC. So those people, they may decide not to go into alliance with some other parties. Even yesterday, APC supporters have started agitating already.
Where? In
River State.
River State.
And it took the intervention of the police for them to be dispensed. And some of these things, they are not actually helping us as a nation. So people should try to obey court order. Supreme Court have actually said that this party will not partake in the election. And again, parties should not wait till deadline before they should come up with their primaries. It's a lesson. Because what happened in River State and Zamfara is a lesson. Why should you wait till at the end of the deadline? Now you come up with your primaries. You have to do it as early as possible so that if there's any need for you to go back and have another primaries, you can do that within the limited time.
The challenge in Rivers APC started from when they did their congresses in May.
Yes.
That was when the factions that were alleged aligned themselves with Magnus Abe came up with a particular list, and the challenge started from there. Thank God you brought up this issue of the issue of violence and court cases. How do you think this will affect tomorrow's election? I saw the threats coming from that particular angle yesterday while they were protesting in River State. How do you think this will affect tomorrow's election, especially when most of them are insisting that their candidates must be on the ballot? One, they'll also claim they have court cases that ordered that they should be on the ballot.
It's very wrong for us to see people talking this way. Supreme Court have actually made pronouncement on this. And it is now on the leaders to call their supporters. Supreme Court on Tuesday said, we are not going to have candidates in this election. And Mr. President was in River State. He said, I am worried, I am troubled that APC is not going to field in candidates here. So if they come up with agitations yesterday, I think it's on Amechi and Mr. President and the leaders of APC to call their supporters to order.
How would they call their supporters to order? When before the court ruling came out, the national chairman of APC was saying that whether you like it or not, we will field candidates in Zamfara and in Rivers State.
That is something I'm saying. Leaders. So it's not only Mr. President, the national leader should know. The problem we have, let me say, with this present government is that they select court judgment they will obey and the one they will not obey. Look at what is happening to Onoge now. They are going back to NJC, which all of us said here. We are not saying Onoge has not committed offense. Follow the due process. They are going back to NJC. And CCT yesterday before said they ordered for arrest of CJN. These things are not healthy for our country. So the leaders, Oshomole, Mr. President, should be able to know that you have intellectuals. There are things you tell us on television. Some of us will be laughing because we know there's no truth in it.
Barrister will come back to you.
So what we are saying in essence is that starting from Oshomole as national leader, they should know what they say. Because your supporters will look at you as the leader and say, what is our leader saying?
And it is
if you watch what happened in Ogun State, the governor said please, please, our leader is here. Please, be calm. And when you watch the supporters, there was calm. Not until when Mr. President tried to raise up the hand of a factional gubernatorial candidate, they now resisted and said no. And the anti-party, the APC as a government, as a party, have not been able to handle anti-party activities.
All right, it's now looking like we're focusing on APC, but there are other parties with court cases. There are several court cases, pre-election court cases in different courts in parts of Nigeria. I'll come to you, Dr. Dennis Ekemeze. What does this mean for the voting public? Some people will be going to these polls confused on the candidate to vote, especially when they fear that if they finally cast their vote for this person, finally, maybe after the election, court will declare that this person is not the authentic candidate of the party, and their vote will not turn to what they had in mind in voting. You as someone from the National Orientation Agency, you engage with the public. What does this mean for the voting public?
Well, I think we are trying to see or to analyze or to look at the internal democracy of parties, and then vis-a-vis the party primaries and the outcome, and then the perception of the general public and particularly the voters, because the psychic of the electorates are being touched and the emotions are being raised. And if you go back to Rivers State, just as he said, we always know that Rivers State has been a volatile environment. And if you go back to history, the history that brought in Amechi as governor of Rivers State, it was the same process of intimidation of the democracy and then alienation of the electorate in terms of party primaries. Meha was fielded in and then won the election, acclaimed, and then
that was during Amechi.
Amechi went to court and
finally
mandate.
Won recovered his mandate, became the governor for 8 years. And this, as you said, the electorate at times, I said, at times they are traumatized. And once your psychic is traumatized, then what do? One, the process of alienation and withdrawal will start to come in.
So there's a tendency this could lead to voter apathy. Is that what you're saying?
It's not only voter apathy. That place has already become an environment.
So we are looking at the general environment tomorrow. As
yes, let us address Rivers State first.
Okay.
It has become an environment of crisis in that area. In some areas, for instance, in Anambra State, there's no such situation, even though there are some acrimony in some of these parties. And Anambra, for sure, we witnessed a peaceful environment as done in 2017 and part of 2018. Then for Zamfara, also there's tension in the land. In Benue, also tension. In fact, if you go further down to Kano, you know, Kano terrain is always volatile. The areas that flashpoints, you are going to look at what is going on. And then, just like you said it, leaders there should also know how to manage information, especially this time we are using social media.
All right.
Leaders need to be volatile too. You don't give what you don't have. That's one problem we have with our leaders. You don't give what you don't have.
Yes, because some of them are they're not cultured. Yes, so I get your point. Some of them are not cultured.
When we come back, we're taking a break now to bring in Vox Pop. But when we come back, we're going to look at the recent information that came out from the INEC on how to vote and the finger to use in voting tomorrow. Let's get to the streets and then hear what people say about how Nigeria are ready to decide tomorrow.
No, I'm going to cast my vote that day. I hope that their promise are going to be free and fair election. So I lie on what they say. Yeah.
The election, there's nothing like boycotting. The people are participating. Some people that want to participate, I think they have their right. I have my voter's card. I'm very much prepared. The expectation is for them to be neutral, to do their legal and the actual responsibility that is expected of them. so that there will be peaceful conduct of the election. My advice to the general public is for everyone to conduct himself. There is no point of violence or whichever.
People should come out in mass and exercise their franchise. But that is freedom, that is the right you have as an individual, as a citizen of a country. So no need of boycotting election. Without free and fair and credible election, there's no need of democracy. For us to respect the institution of democracy, I'm urging the INEC to make sure that they do not compromise the election.
I am fully prepared for the election. The people that are trying to boycott the election, maybe they don't understand what that election is all about. And the forthcoming election is the day we Nigerians will decide who will be the leader of this country. My advice to the general public is for everybody to come out and cast their votes.
I'm only urging Nigerians to go out and exercise their franchise. Once you are of age to vote, go and vote. And another thing is that don't sell your votes. And you vote according to your conscience. We have heard, we have seen. So people should vote according to their conscience.
Okay, we'll welcome you back. We are still looking at Nigeria decides as we go to polls tomorrow, being 16th February 2019. Yes, use the index finger to vote, because this one might be too big for the space where you're going to put it. You understand? Before we know of this. But now, maybe because we have so many people or so many political parties in the ballot papers, the lines are not as big as they used to be.
Yes.
So, what do you have to say about that?
Yes, at least by yesterday or yes, the chief spokesperson for INEC, chairman, made it clear that you can use any of your fingers, especially the one that will help you to print on the ballot paper provided.
Easily.
Even some people are now teaching their voters use this, because this is the smallest. And once you dip it like this, it's going to dry quick and it's going to match the space. 91 political parties. It's very long. And then try to be there by 8 o'clock, go early. When you go early, queue up, then access the ballot paper, obey the presiding officer, go to the cubicle as you are required, then use the finger that will give you the appropriate printing. After that, in a second, it will dry up, then you roll. You roll.
All right, following, let me come to Barrister. Following the, I think on Tuesday, this story started trending on Wednesday about how INEC changed the pattern of voting without informing the public. How would you assess management of information through this period, especially when it concerns to spread of fake news?
Anyway, I must have to tell you that we as a country, we are not really helping the public as far as information dissemination is concerned. People will just wake up, put in anything they like, and begin to share. And sometimes they will even bring it to your wall and say, share to 20 persons. You will get an MTN card or something like that. And people, out of ignorance, they will continue spreading fake, false information, because all these things you are saying fake news. The language just came out recently by the APC government. There's nothing like fake news. What is fake to you may be real to another person. It's false information. Okay. And that's why sometimes when people say we want to make fake news a criminal offense, I laugh, because we have it as a law already. False information. When you give information that is not true, you can be prosecuted.
This is false information.
It's false information instead of this fake. There's nothing like fake news.
No, this particular one we are talking about.
Yes, it's false. It's false information because
false information from where?
From individuals. So if you can trace the propagandas of this information, you can prosecute them. Okay. Because the day you do your registration, you put in your 10 fingers. That is to say, the 10 fingers are qualified for the business.
Okay, let's move on. Let's look at the spate of fire disasters in INEC offices across the country. The first one we saw was we recorded was from Isialangwa local government area in Abia State, and then the Panampam Plateau State, and then Anambra State INEC headquarters. How is this going to affect tomorrow's election? But I know that when it happened in Isialangwa and that of the Plateau State, the INEC officials said that they're still going to, reprint papers for those of them that were affected and all the rest of things. But this one happened just a few days before the election. Is it going to affect the election? Okay, let me come back to you, Barrister, before I get to the...
Actually, we need to be worried, because the first question is, why should we be at this point when elections are very close and we are getting this information? The managers of this institution, INEC, should be questioned, because that of Anambra State, I can say what happened there is out of carelessness. And that is why up to this moment you've not been able to tell us what really happened. How can you store card reader of 4,000 something in a container?
Okay, it has happened. Let's not go back to that.
No.
I want to see how it's going to affect tomorrow's election.
See, the affection itself starts from that point. So you need to question some individuals to know their competence. And nobody is doing that. We need to do some arrest. Who is the head there? We need to question him. What happened? Then yesterday, he came up to say it's not going to affect the election. We agree. Until we get to the polling unit, you will see what will happen.
If we get to the polling unit, Dr. Kemeze, and find out that it will affect the election, what will we do at that point? Well,
I'm not an armchair analyst. I've been to INEC twice yesterday, and I saw the candidates have been replaced. At least I saw 3 vehicles that came with the candidates. And I'm so much impressed with such very nice action. You see, there is always the accident in what we do in life, even on our personal level. And if such has happened, and of course, that's why in military tactics, they will tell you that a general must always have a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan this. So that if this one doesn't work, this one will work. And that's why at times you make room for reservations in case. And that's what the national chairman of INEC said, that they will mop up from other states. From the ones they have. Not other states, from the ones they have.
What of the configuration? What of the configuration?
That's what I said. I'm not an armchair. I was there yesterday. And the action is being done. And that's what we need as members of the press and the media.
Dr. Kemeze.
No. Let's take it right.
Yes, Dr. Kemeze.
Our job.
I know.
To say that this thing has happened and this is what is being done.
Yes, Dr. Kemeze, this is what is being done. But you know that when it comes to elections, trust is one of the essential things that will come up at the polls. When someone gets there and he has had the news of the so-called fire disaster, and he gets to the polling booth and he's voted.
Even when police were asked to.
Do you think that this would generate some concerns, some fears in most quarters?
And that's what I'm requesting you as person here, working here, to assist to educate the people that INEC has replaced those things. Configuration is going on, and the DIG was there yesterday to ascertain the situation and then be able to come up with a reasonable result, because we are managing national information.
Okay, as we get ready to go, let's quickly, maybe in 30 seconds, please look at the security situation in the country before we go to the post tomorrow. Will you say that security-wise we are ready? Barrister, please, 30 seconds.
Yes, actually, the security should be neutral. There should be no intimidation of voters, because that is the angle some individuals will come up with. The angle they will be coming as far as tomorrow's election is concerned. Okay. When you see that maybe you are not getting what you ought to get, you raise false alarm. The alarm is even coming up from national chairman of APC already, that PDP is plotting with INEC to rig election, and the PDP is coming up with the allegation that APC. So what we are saying is that the security should be neutral.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. We have to go. We have to go because we don't have much time. We'd like to thank you very much for joining us this morning. Dr. Dennis Eke Mezie from the National Orientation Agency, and then Barrister Joseph Anganti, legal practitioner and analyst. So thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll just stand by now for the second segment.